Walter was born in Kettle Falls, Washington. His parents separated in the 1970s and he lived with his mother, Karen Hull. They moved to Puyallup, Washington in the late 1980s. School became an issue for Walter, who was suddenly thrust into a much larger school district. He was small and he was struggling with the other kids picking on him. Although his test scores were above average, he was frequently truant and began abusing alcohol. Walter eventually left his mother's home and moved in with his grandmother before moving again to live with his ex-stepfather and younger brother in Spokane, Washington, but that didn't work out. He returned to Puyallup and entered family counseling with his mother. In March 1990, Walter joined the Federal Job Corps program and moved into the Angell Job Corps facility in Yachats, Oregon. Hull consented because she thought it would be good for him. The students were supervised, alcohol was prohibited, and Walter could get his GED and learn a trade. He was reportedly very happy about entering the Job Corps and selected culinary arts as a career interest. Hull signed forms giving him permission to go off-site on his 3 days for unsupervised trips. At first, Walter called his mother and grandmother on a regular basis. The last call was on March the 20th. Walter said, "This place is nothing like you think it is." After that, his family never heard from him again. On March the 24th, only 2 weeks after he entered the Job Corps, Walter and 3 older fellow Job Corps members, Troy Culver, Eric Forsgren and Jeff Callaghan, left the facility without permission and hitchhiked to Nye Beach off Oregon Highway 101 in Newport. It was on this trip that Walter would disappear. Walter's friends stated they last saw him while on a trip to the beach. His friends were playing football while Walter watched on from a footbridge above. He then disappeared without a trace. The next day they returned to the Job Corps without him. The Job Corps wrote Walter off as a runaway. Although there were rumours that he had met with foul play, they didn't tell his mother about his disappearance until April the 5th, which was a violation of their own policies. They were supposed to notify parents of missing students within 24 hours. Hull asked them to file a missing persons report, but they didn't. Walter wasn't officially reported missing until April the 16th. A Job Corps staff member told Hull that Walter had taken all his belongings with him, but when his family went to collect his remaining belongings 2 days later, only his baseball card collection was missing. The Job Corps claimed they had left a message on his grandmother's answering machine and sent a letter to Hull. Neither of those things were received by the family. When Walter's mother and grandmother confronted the Job Corps about their false statements, the staff admitted that perhaps they had not, in fact, notified them. Hull and Owens were permitted to see the 3 friends who Walter was with on the day he disappeared. Culver apologised to Hull for Walter's disappearance, saying he was responsible for Walter and felt guilty that he had run away. An informant who was said to have been Walter's girlfriend in 1990 told Hull she had heard that Culver and Forsgren got into a fight with Walter and threw him off a bridge. Hull went to the police with her story, but they never followed up on it, stating Walter's body would have washed ashore if the story had been accurate. It appears police decided Walter was just another teen runaway, and an investigation would never get off the ground. Hull returned to the Angell facility on April the 30th to put up missing person posters for Walter, but she wasn't allowed on the property. The stance that most of us took, other than the family, was that Walter had simply run away. The police accepted the Job Corps' assertion that Walter had run away. A police officer interviewed Culver. who said Walter hated the Job Corps and kept complaining about it. Culver stated Walter smoked marijuana and also claimed he had taken LSD and that he got drunk the day he disappeared. The investigating officer suspended the investigation for lack of any information as to Walter's whereabouts, and over the years the case would go cold. The friends who Walter was with on the day he disappeared would go on to have a checkered life. In 2001, Culver assaulted a woman and threatened her with a gun. He was charged with first-degree rape, but the charge was dropped and he pleaded guilty to third-degree assault and unlawful gun possession. Forsgren also got in trouble with the law after he left the Job Corps. He was convicted of various theft and drug-related offences over the next 2 decades. The investigation into Walter's disappearance was reopened in 2004 after one of his missing persons flyers was found in the home of a suspected paedophile. A new police officer with the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in Washington, where Walter lived and had been reported missing to in 1990, tracked down Forsgren and Culver and interviewed them again. Both told the same story again. The third friend was interviewed in 2005 and backed up Culver and Forsgren's statements. The informant, said to be Walter's girlfriend, was also interviewed, but said she couldn't remember anything about Walter's disappearance and had never really dated him. The case was closed again for lack of evidence. In August 2009, Culver confessed Walter's murder to his parole officer. He made his statement after he joined a drug treatment program which requires its participants to make amends for past wrongs. According to police reports of his alleged confession, Culver said that Ackerson was drunk and that he had started hitting Walter again and again for annoying him, slamming his head against a tree and jumping on him until he wasn't sure whether Walter was dead or unconscious. He dragged the body onto the bridge with the 2 others and tossed him into the water. When they returned to the Job Corps, the 3 young men washed their bloody clothes and agreed on a story to explain Walter's disappearance. When police interviewed the other 2 about Culver's confession, they confirmed it. Forsgren stated that he thought Walter was alive when they threw him off the bridge. Callaghan said he had told another Job Corps student as well as his sister about the murder shortly after it happened. Both witnesses gave statements to the police after the men's confessions. In October 2010, Culver pleaded guilty to manslaughter in Walter's case. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, to be followed by 3 years of probation. Forsgren and Callaghan both admitted to their roles in Walter's presumed death, and both got immunity from prosecution.